Welcome back to Tom's Datsun Garage. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I polish stainless steel. I'm going to use the same techniques I did about 10 years ago when I did the other stainless steel pieces on the car. And I'm going to use this buffing wheel just like I did then too. And I'm also going to cover the two different types of compounds that I had purchased when I got the buffing wheel to accomplish this. So let's get started. The first compound is called polishing compound gray, and it says on the bottom here, it says fast cut compound is used to prevent light scratches and restore the natural look of copper, brass, stainless steel, and aluminum. And I use this compound on the coarser wheel. It's like a gray, the first compound, big old piece of called hard polishing compound gray. And it says on the bottom here, it says fast cut compound is used to prevent other light scratches and restore the natural look of copper, brass, stainless steel, green, and aluminum. And it says compound is used for high polish finish on copper, brass, stainless steel, coarser wheel, steel. No mention of aluminum. It's like a gray. A word of warning about using these buffers. These wheels are made of a loosish fabric, and when they're used, they tend to generate a lot of dust and little bits of threads come off of them. So they kind of make a mess when you use these. So be mindful of that. If you can use these outdoors, that would be the most ideal, because that way the mess is easy to clean up. You basically just leave it in your yard and Mother Nature takes care of it. But since I'm going to be using my garage like I did the last time, I'm going to try to do everything I can to keep the dust down to a minimum, or at least contain it to an area that's easier to clean up. I had bits of cardboard set up, and I made like a cardboard enclosure kind of, and set this in there and was using that to polish the stainless steel around the windows 10 years ago. And this time around, I might do things a little bit differently. But the object will still be the same, to try to keep the dust and the mess to a minimum. And that's just a byproduct of polishing. Some of the metal dust from the polishing compound and the actual polishing process, and the little threads that come off of these wheels during the polishing. It can't be avoided, but it does make a mess, so just a fair warning. When the buffer's running, the wheel spins downward like this, and it gives you some stickers up here that tells you the rotation of it. But basically, when you're doing your polishing, you don't want to catch any of the sharp edges on the wheel, because it can grab the piece out of your hand and throw it. And if you're not wearing safety gear, then you can get bad cuts on your hand. So what I do is I keep the part moving as the wheel is spinning. You don't want to sit in one spot for too long, because you can build up a lot of heat when you do that, and you could possibly discolor the piece that you're trying to polish, or even cause damage to it. So keep the part moving, keep it sharp edges away from the wheels, and just keep the part moving. And you'll see when I'm actually doing this, I'm not running this now because I just want to show you how I do it, and you can still hear me without the buffer running. But that'll be the basic technique. And then on the longer pieces, you'll see that I feed the piece towards the bottom like this, and just keep everything low on the downside of the spin, so that in case something grabs or catches, it throws it away from you. You really shouldn't do anything like this or try to polish like this, because this is just going to toss it towards you. It's not really a good idea. It's also worth mentioning that any type of tape or sticker residue or paint or anything else like that should be removed from the piece. You don't want any oils or greases or residues from stickers or anything like that contaminating your buffing wheel or compounds. Alright, first we're going to start by dressing the rougher cut in with the correct compound. This is going to provide a faster cut, and this will be the finer polish, which will use a different compound to dress this wheel. But first we want to dress this one before we start actually doing our polishing. Just a little dab will do you. Alright, first we're going to do this headlight trim ring. There is some overspray from when the car was painted back in the early 2000s, late 90s. There's no damage on the part, so we're going to try taking this off with the rougher cut on the buffer wheel. I'm going to hold this very strategically and kind of roll the sharp edges away from the direction of rotation so that it doesn't snag and hurt anybody or take the part and take it out of my hand and damage anything. Here we already got a real nice difference. We're starting to polish up real nice, and it's taking the paint off and overspray off no problem at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue on with this to finish this part. And then after the stainless steel is done, I have a piece of aluminum I'd like to show you also. But it's basically the same process. The aluminum's just a little softer, and you just have to be a little more careful with it. This is just roughing it in. This isn't even the final polish. So I'm going to continue on the rest of the way. And you can see how if I get the angle wrong, it grabs onto the piece. So that's something to be very careful with. Make sure you always wear gloves and wear eye protection as well when you're doing this. This isn't a very high-powered buffer. Most professional settings, they use much bigger equipment, and they're wearing full aprons, face shields, and the like. So just something to keep in mind. It is kind of dangerous, but if you use a little common sense and you work slow and steady, you can make quite a difference with your parts right at home with relatively little trouble. Periodically, just want to make sure that you redress your buffing wheel with compound. You don't want it to get too dry. Quite a difference already between one that's polished and one that's not. And I haven't even done the final polish on it yet. This is still just roughing it in. Alright, now that we have the rough in initial buffing completed, I'm going to switch over to this looser wheel with the green polishing compound, and that is the finishing type. That's what's going to give us the real final polish on this whole piece. I don't believe I mentioned it, but these compounds I purchased at Harbor Freight when I bought the buffer itself. I don't think they came with the buffer. It's been 10 plus years. I honestly don't remember. And I'm sure these things are still available today, but I don't know what their availability is, but or what they even look like. They may have even changed the packaging and branding since then. But I'm going to go ahead and dress this wheel. I'm going to put the final touch on this piece, and then I'm going to show you a piece of aluminum, which I haven't polished yet myself, but I can't imagine it's going to be a whole lot different than the stainless, except it's a softer metal and maybe requires a little more delicate touch than the stainless steel. Green compound. Little dab will do you. I'm turning the part periodically to change the direction of the polishing wheel on the part, and that ensures that it gets polished both directions. I've noticed that it makes a difference in the finish. So you want to keep it moving and change the direction periodically. All right. I hope this shows up on camera, but there is quite a difference between the final high polish and the before. Real nice. I'm going to do one more piece to show you the difference, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a piece of aluminum. Right, here you can kind of see the difference between the factory original finish piece on the bottom and the recently polished one here on the top. These pieces go around the side marker lights. That high polish finish I don't believe is factory correct. I don't believe they looked like this back in 1971, but I really like the look of that polished stainless. It looks really nice. Alright, now I'm going to try this piece of aluminum. I have never polished aluminum with this machine before, and the gray compound does say aluminum, so we are going to try and see what we can make a difference on this aluminum piece that goes in the steering system. Actually, this was between the steering coupler and the steering shaft. It's already making a nice difference. Wow. This is going to look great. Alright, well, I'm going to continue on with this piece of aluminum, and I will polish the rest of these items off camera. Well, that made quite a bit of a difference, and I hope you guys gained some knowledge on how to polish these pieces on your Datsuns and make a difference. This process will work for other cars as well, but this is Tom's Datsun Garage. In my next video, I'm going to show you how I take the damage out of stainless steel and fix a dent in the drip rail molding. Now, a dent appeared in this after a ladder fell against it many years ago. And I'm going to show you how I get that dent out, take the damage out, and then I'll polish that piece afterwards. But that'll be a next video. It's going to be a little more in-depth than this one was. Polishing is a little more straightforward. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for watching as always, and I appreciate every one of you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.